afternoon, and good evening to you wherever and whenever you are joining us. Welcome to our latest edition of What Caught My Eye, or WCME Sports. As always, I'm your host, the coach Nick Vesci. I am joined by the boy Stephen Vesci.
What up?
And the man Stephen Comlow.
Greetings.
If you're new to our show, our idea is to bring you the most eye-catching, noteworthy events from the sporting landscape over the past week, focusing on the area of competition, as in what happens on the field, the court, the ice. Those are things that matter most to us, and that's what we will focus on. If you learn something new each week, that's our other main goal, is that we make this educational so we can be as good of fans as we could possibly be. The more you know, the better, right? Isn't that the old NBC infomercials? It was like, the more you know, right?
The little like rainbow thing that
yep.
came across.
Yes, that's one of our big things here. Before we get into it, just a reminder to follow us on all of our socials. That's X, Instagram, and Facebook at WCME_sports. We are also on Spotify and YouTube. Our episodes will drop every Wednesday at noon. And you can visit us on our website at WCMEsports.com. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. Our top catch this week turns to the realm of college football. We are in the thick of it, the heat of it, the home stretch. I think for some teams, 1 game left, other teams, 2 games left. Right? I don't think anyone's got 3 except for maybe Army and Navy because of
correct
when they play their game. But we're in it, right? We're in the weeds. This is crunch time. This is where the rubber meets the road. And so, yes, every game matters, but it's kind of been shown by the committee over the last several years that your results now do carry a little more weight than something that happens in September, right? So this is kind of the shit or get off the pot moment, right? We'll start. What's this, comma? What are we doing here?
I think my camera's a little dirty. Sorry. I was eating Pringles and messed with my camera. Shout out Pringles. I just had to clean it up a little bit. I looked a little fuzzy. Sorry. Continue.
All right. Thanks, Hardy, for that interruption.
Oh, here we go. Time for a haircut.
It looks like Hardy, people. If you're looking at home, that is not
the resemblance is uncanny.
Uncanny. That is not the country singer / rock.
My collar's just a little more blue.
Yeah.
A more spit in my chow.
Thank you.
All right, top catch. Here we go.
Yep. So we're going to start in Pittsburgh. All right. After Pitt came back and took the lead on Ben Saul's 47-yard field goal with 1:36 remaining, Clemson quarterback Cade Klubnik produced the game-winning 50-yard touchdown run, weaving in and out of the Pitt defense with 1:16 left as Clemson went on to defeat the Pitt Panthers 24-20 and keep their ACC title hopes alive and essentially eliminating Pitt from that discussion after their 3rd straight loss. Moving
Sweet Caroline.
Eat shit, Pitt.
Thank you. As we alienate some more people from our show, let's just unnecessarily dump on the fine people of Pittsburgh.
We're so good.
Or the Pittsburgh University of Pittsburgh. I don't know what they are. PU? They can't be PU.
Oh, that'd be so fun. It's got to be University of Pitt, right? I guess.
As we pause the show, this is crucial. This is actually the most important thing we've looked up all day.
It is University of Pittsburgh.
Sweet.
So
Thank God. Yeah,
it's not PU.
You can't be PU. That would be.
You can't be. Someone definitely was like, we can't do that.
Yeah, you might as well change your mascot to the
I did see someone
flying
was talking about
feces.
Someone was talking about Narduzzi, and they were like, how can this guy be such a great coach and then so bad at the same time? Like some of his in-game decisions and everything is like, God, he's so good and then so bad.
Yeah.
But they've had a much better year
than people thought.
Than they thought, yeah. I mean, especially after last year. I think they went 3-9 last year, including losing to West Virginia. Then this year they're 8-3, right?
I thought they were 7-3.
7-3.
I thought they went 7-0 and then 3 straight. SMU, UVA, Clemson.
Yeah, the UVA loss is bad.
It was bad. Yeah,
that's not. That was at home too. That was bad.
Yes. Now moving on to some SEC stuff. Florida, they scored 14 points in the 4th quarter, including Jaden Baugh's 55-yard exclamation point touchdown with less than 4 minutes left as the Gators beat LSU 27-16 in the Swamp. So this cool stat. Since 1990, Florida has the 3rd best home record of any team in FBS, which is pretty amazing. Yeah. I don't know who the other top two are, but I was like, that's pretty good for Florida. So no matter how good or bad they are, you don't just come into the swamp and beat them. Stanford. They rattled off 17 unanswered points in the fourth quarter, including the walk-off 52-yard field goal by Emmett Kenny as the Cardinal came back and beat the Louisville Cardinals 38-35 in Palo Alto. This for him, the kicker, that was his second walk-off kick this season. He had one at Syracuse earlier in the year, so that's a pretty good record there, a year for a kicker, right? Colorado, the men in the mountains, they became the first team since 2014 to score 49 or more points against the Utah Utes as the Buffaloes ran all over them 49-24. It's pretty amazing, right, that they're able to do that. I know Utah's down.
Well, so I was watching that because I was like, oh, let me just see. Like, I kind of expected that game to be like 24-3 because Utah's offense is so bad.
Yeah.
But Utah's offense is so bad that they gave Colorado so many possessions because there were a lot of times where it was like, okay, Utah's got them on the ropes, and then something would happen. Like Travis Hunter, Will Shepherd are just too good, and Sanders' ball placement is just too good. Where they were like, he'd be you're 3rd and 20, 3rd and 25, and it's like, yeah, it really doesn't matter.
No.
Because he's going to put it in a spot where Hunter's going to get, and I don't even want to say it's like an 80-20 ball. Like, it's not 50-50, and I don't even think it's an 80-20. I think it's like a 90-10. Like, either Hunter's getting it or they're calling a flag because no one can guard him, or Shepard's getting it. And Sanders is putting it in such a great spot. And by the way, these like, this isn't just him just chucking it.
No.
And he's putting it in spots that are purposeful for Hunter to go get it or for Shepard to go get it. Like, these are calculated
decisions, yes, based off of the pressure, the defensive front, and the coverage,
and Sanders' ability to scramble in the pocket and stay looking downfield and just make the D line just run around because immediately, like, he snaps the ball and he's running for his life.
Oh yeah, their offense is still terrible.
It's almost comical watching it because it's like, he's just running circles again every single play, but that D line's just gassed.
Yeah. And
then he's just like, all right, and now the DBs have to cover, some of the best receivers in the country for 10 seconds. Like, that's just impossible.
Yeah, I'd said this before, watching Shedeur Sanders play reminds me of if you mix Russell Wilson and Ben Roethlisberger. A lot of the same moxie and the movement principles that you see from both of them, because both of those guys never fully got the credit for how elusive they were, really, and how fast they were. Yes, as fast and quick, because they didn't rack up rushing yards, because that wasn't their job. Shedeur doesn't rack up rushing yards, right? But he has the same traits that he's willing to stand in there. He eludes people. He gets out of things that you didn't think possible, and he makes a throw to the right guy at the right time. Right? That what I thought was most impressive, he threw a pick on the first play of the game.
He did, yes.
First, right? And then he proceeded to go 30 of 40 for the rest of the game for 340 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Against a very good defense.
Yes. While Utah may be down, their defense is still really good, has some NFL guys out there, and he was able to do that. So, yeah, pretty impressive from that standpoint.
They've got to be the favorites, right, for the Big 12 now. I know BYU is still...
Yeah, but they, like we said, these games this is where games are starting to matter more, and they're trending this way. BYU's looking more middling, despite just having one loss.
And BYU gets Arizona State, which
yes,
I don't know if that's on your little ledger
bingo
there,
card.
Arizona State is awesome.
Yes, yeah. Speaking of BYU and Arizona State, I did have them on my stuff here. So Arizona State, as you said, they're awesome. They went into Manhattan, Kansas, and beat Kansas State 24-14. They improved to 8-2 on the year. Receiver Jordan Tyson had 12 receptions for 176 yards and 2 touchdowns for the Sun Devils. Cam Skattebo is awesome. He's one of the best all-purpose backs. He, I think, is up there in the country in terms of like total yards or yards from scrimmage in the whole country, despite missing a game or two, I think, already.
Yeah, he did. We mentioned him in one of the weeks you were out on paternity leave, of like, you got to pay attention to this guy. Does he remind you of? Because his His
I don't
balance is unbelievable. Like the amount of plays I see him like getting chipped or whatever and just bouncing and then just being able to put his hand on the ground and keep his balance.
Maybe
and
like
continue.
a Maurice Jones-Drew and McCaffrey kind of combined there because he's powerful. McCaffrey's not as powerful as he is, but Maurice
Allstott-ish.
Yeah, but more elusive. Allstott was.
He's definitely more elusive, but he's got the balance of it.
That's
so
why
good.
Maurice Jones-Drew stands out to me because he had that kind of stocky build that runs you over and was hard to bring down and balance and could do a lot of different things. So I'd say if you combine those because he's a pretty good pass catcher. MJD wasn't that great out of the backfield.
Right, and that's what Allstott was really good out of the backfield.
He was
5'11",
excellent.
215. So he's a little. That's a nice running back size.
Yeah. No, he's a good player. Arizona State's fun to watch. You're right, they're really good. And like you said, they play BYU this coming week, which they're going to try to avenge their loss to Kansas because in their game in Provo at night, right, Devin Neal of Kansas had the touchdown run early in the fourth quarter that put the Jayhawks ahead for good as they defeated the BU Cougars 17-13 and gave BYU their first loss of the season, making an even crazier or a crazy Big 12 look even crazier at this moment.
Watch out, Colorado. Watch out for Kansas because they're hot. They just beat Iowa State and BYU.
Oh, Kansas is a good team, right?
Kansas,
I know their record doesn't show it because
they've gotten bad breaks.
Yes,
they blew it against 3 teams I think to start the year.
Yeah,
one of them including West Virginia. They should have won that game. They were 10 with 2 minutes left.
Yep, they blew that game. UNLV, probably should have won that game. UNLV is a good team though, so that's not like a bad loss. I think the first game of the year, they were playing
blew it against K-State. I think they had a chance.
Yes,
to
they
win
did.
That game.
Yep. No, Kansas is a good team. They are. Yeah, they're like the baseball team that started off so bad they couldn't dig themselves out of a hole, but now they're regressing more to the mean, and now you have to play them in a 4-game stretch or season or series down the stretch. And
they also have a very good defensive line. So Colorado, that's an issue for Colorado.
Yeah. Moving on to South Carolina, home of Darius Rucker. A very entertaining back-and-forth battle between the Gamecocks and the Missouri Tigers. Not the other Tigers. I guess they would be the other Tigers, right? LSU's the one, Auburn's the other.
Yes.
Missouri's the other Tigers. But that was a fun game to watch. Raheem Sanders of South Carolina hauled in the game-winning 15-yard score from Lenore Sellers to Sanders on that one. With 15 seconds left as USC took down Mizzou 34-30. Lenore Sellers had 353 yards passing and 5 touchdowns passing, right? He added another 40-some on the ground, so he almost had 400 total yards in that game, which is pretty electric. They're talking about a team that's kind of on the up and up is USC, even though, they got no shot to get the playoff, but their team you don't want to play now. Either you probably don't want to play them in their bowl game.
Well, so here's
get to it.
Yeah, and then you go into the SEC schedule. Well, they're done with their SEC schedule.
Yeah, because they got Clemson and their little sisters of the poor.
You're close. It is another South Carolina.
The Citadel?
Team. No, that's actually who Clemson plays.
South Carolina Upstate?
Same town. Same town as SC Upstate.
Oh, gosh.
It's in Spartanburg.
South Carolina State?
No, Wofford.
Terriers. How could I forget the Terriers? Oh, my. Yeah, should have. I actually always forget that one for whatever reason, but yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, so their SEC schedule, they got hot, but their SEC schedule's done.
Watch out for the Terriers. Just saying. Moving on to the Royal rivalry. I don't know if you know this one. The JMU Dukes versus the Old Dominion Monarchs. Ooh. That is the Royal rivalry. Dukes and Monarchs. In the Commonwealth, yes. JMU defeated ODU 35-32 in Norfolk thanks to 233 yards on the ground as a team. The Dukes moved to 8-2 on the season as now ODU, the Monarchs, need to win out to make a bowl game because they're now 4-6. However, 5 of ODU's 6 losses this year are by single digits. I think 4 of them are by 1-score games. So including at South Carolina first game of the year, which they should have won that game. So they really, I think I saw something. Since 2022, they played in the most 1-score games of any team in the country. Like they're in ODU, yeah. They are in every game. And
that's wild.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like great because you always have a chance to win, but also bad because you always have a chance to lose, right? It's that double-edged sword, but they're always going to be competitive. I think it's the cool thing. No matter who they play, right? You go into South Carolina, you take them to the wire. No matter who they play, they're going to put up a good fight and be competitive. But yeah, they need to win their last two to get into a bowl game. Speaking of having to win their last game to get in the bowl game, I don't know if you saw this. The New Mexico Fighting Urlachers came back from down 21-7 in the first half to defeat number 18 Washington State, 38-35. Where's New Mexico? Albuquerque, I believe, is where University of New Mexico is.
Albuquerque?
Yes, the ABQ. Lobos QB, because they're the Lobos, by the way, which means wolves. In Spanish for you people out there. Lobos QB Devin Dampier had 193 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns, including the game-winning rushing touchdown with 21 seconds left. He also added 174 yards and a touchdown through the air. It's the first victory for New Mexico over a ranked opponent since 2003. It's crazy, right?
Whoa.
And if they beat Hawaii, not this coming weekend, but the weekend after, they will reach bowl eligibility at 6-6 after they started the season 0-4. And do you know,
the season losing to an FCS team?
Yes, Montana State though. Yeah, do you know who their head coach is? New Mexico.
Yes. Bronco Mendenhall.
Don't you think everyone in Charlottesville wished he was still their coach? This doesn't surprise.
UVA would literally be probably where Pitt level is.
Yeah.
You know how Pitt won 21 won the ACC. That was like where UVA was trending.
Yeah,
with Bronco as the coach. Yeah, that's a bad beat. That's UVA, 2 coaches that just decided to get up and leave for personal reasons.
Yeah.
In the middle of their I would say prime coaching. Him and Tony Bennett. That's tough because Bronco's a really good coach. He took a year off, said, "I'll go."
Was it a year? 2 years? 2 years.
2 years. 2 years maybe. And said, "You know what? Who's the worst team in college football? I'll go make them relevant."
That was why he took the job. He literally was he was like, "I'm not going to take a job unless it's like a complete rebuild, tear down, rebuild, a terrible team that I'm going to build back up." And I mean,
he's out there playing video games, man. That's what he's doing.
Yes, yeah. He's like, "I'll sim the first 4 games, and then I'll take the controls and I'll play the next 8 games so we can to a bowl." Yeah, pretty much. Anything else college football wise before we get into the rankings? I'm hoping that they posted them and revealed them.
Georgia, Tennessee, right?
I didn't have it. I wasn't surprised at the result.
I wasn't surprised at the result either, but that was the big marquee game.
I know it was, but okay, fine. Just run it down. Georgia, Tennessee. What happened?
Georgia beat Tennessee by 2 scores. Tennessee's offense not good. That's what happened.
Tennessee's defense is still really good.
Tennessee's defense is very good.
Very good.
It is surprising. I think that's where everyone's like, this Tennessee team, like, we think they should be so damn good because their offense historically with Heupel has so been electric,
good. Yeah.
And it's like, man, it's tough to stop. And now they have the defense, and they can't put the offense together. I mean, they're a very, very good team, but Tennessee's on the outside looking in. If you want to go to the
let's bring it up. But yeah, you're right. I think one of the issues is Iamaleava, or Nico, as a lot of people call him. He's a good quarterback, but he's really young, right? And he doesn't have the playmakers that like Hendon Hooker and Joe Milton had on the outsides. So he doesn't have that like, oh, I'm in trouble, blitz coming, I'm going to flip one up to like a Jalen Hyatt and he's going to go get the ball. He doesn't have that, and that's hard when you have a young quarterback. So I think that's their biggest issue on offense. But you're right, their defense, legit.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
As you can see here are if the games ended today, this is what the college football playoff would look like. All right, I can't say that I am really shocked or surprised or
upset.
The only thing I disagree with, and I said last week, Penn State being ahead of Indiana.
Penn State ahead of Indiana. I want to see BYU up a little higher. They actually have. I mean, they've beaten SMU, who's the leader in the ACC right now. And that was in Dallas.
So they should be ahead. They should be ahead of SMU. because of that
win. Yes, they should be. I mean, yeah, they beat them head to head.
But that wouldn't make any difference in anything.
It would not make any difference. I think they it's hard to say BYU or Boise because Boise's been really, really good. I would like to see BYU ahead of Boise for now because it's a Power 4 team, and I think that matters.
I mean, Boise State, I think, should be ahead of Tennessee. I think Boise State's really good.
Yes. And again, irrelevant though because they're up. They're still up there.
None of these things this is just talking overall ranking. None of these things would change what the bracket actually looks like at this time.
Don't have a massive issue with any of this. Texas, I think, might be too high because they haven't beaten anybody, and their one game that was tough, they lost, right? We look at Indiana and we say, well, they're undefeated, but they have the worst schedule. Well, Texas also has a really, really easy schedule, but it's Texas, so they're up there. I would swap probably Texas and Indiana.
Yeah, I do think, like I said, the way Indiana has played, even with the schedule being so weak, if their name on the front of their jersey said Texas, they would be number 2 in the country.
2, correct.
Or probably 2. They still have them behind Oregon because of the weakness of the schedule. Yes. But yeah, unfortunately that matters a lot there. So I would have Indiana slightly higher in terms of teams that aren't in. I have no issue with these if these are the 12 teams.
I agree.
And the last 2 teams out are Tennessee and SMU.
Because SMU has a chance to get in. You have your chance to earn it. Right?
Yeah.
You win the ACC, you swap places with Miami.
Yep.
Right?
And yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're exactly right. Maybe Ole Miss, just because the fact that they beat Georgia down pretty good, didn't they? A couple weeks ago.
Yeah, Ole Miss needs to be ahead of Georgia. That's the biggest issue is that Ole Miss has a really bad loss to Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And
who's their other loss to? Is it Alabama?
I believe it's LSU.
LSU.
It's also not a great loss.
That's not the best one. Yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. When you look at it, I can't argue with any of these. I think that would be the right teams.
And personally, I like Georgia where they are. And people get really upset about Georgia because they have the hardest schedule. But it really, if you look at their schedule, it boils down to 5 games. Clemson, at Alabama, at Ole Miss, home Tennessee, and there's one more game, I think, for Georgia. Let's see, Clemson, at Alabama, at Texas, right? It boils down to those 5 games, and they're 3-2 in those 5 games. So that's where I think they're in the right spot. I think it's exactly what I thought would happen to Georgia going into the year. They are a extremely good team.
They don't have as much. They're not as consistent they're not as consistent as we've seen from Georgia teams in the past, where they were machine-like in their approach to everything. There's some flaws to them, which is why I think you're right. They're in the right spot. They have the talent.
Yes.
They've proven with results that they're excellent. They can beat anyone, and on any given day in any location, they have a shot to win the whole thing, regardless of if they are 11 right here or number 1. It doesn't matter where they are. I think, they're very solid. I think at the beginning of the year, I said I would pick them to win just because, how do you go against them based off their body of work? I still would stick by it. I still think coaching will have a big determining factor when you get into the playoff, and Kirby Smart at this time, I could argue, is the best coach in the country.
Yes, this is actually similar to what I had to start with, some of the top 4 teams or so. I had Georgia on one of those first round games because of their schedule, thinking they would lose probably 2 games, still get in, but then I had them go into the national championship and play in Oregon.
Yeah.
That's still where I see it too. I think do I think Indiana's better than Georgia? In my opinion, no, I don't. But Indiana deserves to be ranked higher than Georgia because
they've played better than them.
They've played better. They've been an undefeated team. So, my opinion is irrelevant. I think people need to understand, who you think is better doesn't really matter, right? It's results on the field, and it's not the brand name. It means more in the SEC conference. It's not the loudest fans, right? It's not who has the most money. It's not any of that. It's who has produced on the field. If you put a Texas logo on Indiana, on Indiana's jersey, and you just said this is Texas's team, and they've beaten every team, and they've had a really soft schedule, but they've beaten the brakes off of every team except for a close game with Michigan, you would say, wow, this team's incredible. They should be 1 or 2. Instead, they're sitting at 5, right?
Yeah.
So we gotta get rid of some of these brand biases, and let's look at what they've done. Like Georgia absolutely deserves to be in, 100% deserves to be in, but they don't deserve to be ranked at 1 through 4.
Yeah, they don't deserve that. They also, they've got to, I think, win out, right? They can't afford another slip up, because that's the other thing that's
lucky for Georgia and this really tough SEC schedule that they have, they get UMass next as a nice bye before they play their rivalry game against Georgia Tech. Watch out for Georgia Tech, by the way, with Haynes King.
The rambling wreck of Georgia Tech.
That game's going to be a fight.
No, yeah. Georgia Tech is not going to back off. I think they have a legit shot to win that game.
I agree.
Because that would just make the career.
But there is a scenario. I think because Georgia's done with their SEC schedule, right? They still have a chance, I believe, to go to the SEC title if they lose to Georgia Tech.
What's that?
I thought I accidentally X'd out of my browser. Sorry. Woo! That freaked out for a second. No, I was in no way responding. That was not a response to what you were talking about. I accidentally clicked. I accidentally shut the whole thing down.
Our producer, Stephen Comlo, while he's, shopping on the dark web for his holiday gifts over here, is, closing out all of our tabs and Xing us out.
Hey, speaking of holiday gifts, do you guys still have the Pulp Fiction dolls that I got you?
It's somewhere.
No comment.
I don't know where, but it's somewhere.
I believe that was a re-gift by Jordan at one of her works. One person's trash is another man's treasure gift exchanges, or
good
Christmas
call, Jordan.
Christmas in July that they used to hold at Applebee's and get wasted at.
Hell yeah!
$1 margaritas.
Exactly. Yep. I think Jules
love the Dundies.
Went to someone for those, and they used to do Dundies. Her office did as well. I have a couple.
Love the Dundies.
Yeah, but I'm glad we're still here, right? Got playoff wise, I got nothing to complain about. Like you said, a couple big, massive games coming up. BYU, Arizona State is massive. Ohio State, Indiana is massive. Who would have thunk that, right? Notre Dame and Army is massive. Whether you want to admit it or not, and say,
Notre Dame loses, they're out because they're not in a conference.
Thank you. That was the next point I was going to make. Is Notre Dame's not being in the conference is going to bite them here. Yes, they'll get all that revenue from being NBC's team, but they can't afford to lose any games because they won't get the benefit of the doubt, because they won't have that chance of that automatic bid. Whereas if they had that automatic bid that they could win the conference for, sitting at 9-1, even if they went in at 10-2, they win the ACC and they're top 4 team in the country in terms of the rankings here. But that could potentially be a slip up. I don't see it happening. Notre Dame has been playing pretty good football. Even if the first half they played last week against UVA was not good, they're still, and they didn't even cover the spread. My God. It's 21.5, and they let a touchdown up in the final minute to win by 21. That's got to infuriate our degenerate gambler, AJ Pittis.
He can't bet on a Virginia team.
Well, maybe he was in Vegas.
Oh, true. Do you see a scenario here where a Big 12 team, that finishes 10-2, or I guess 11-2 with a conference championship, does not get in?
If you win the conference championship, you're going to get in. What are you saying, that Tulane or Army gets in ahead of them?
Yeah.
Now, Army would have to go undefeated, which means they would have to beat Notre Dame in a neutral site game. They would have to beat Tulane in the AAC, not ACC, AAC championship game. And yes, those would be really good 2 wins. It's just a 2-loss Big 12, I could see. You're right. I guess that's theoretically possible.
Right now, Tulane is ranked 20th.
Yeah, Tulane's really good.
2 losses
are Kansas State and Oklahoma.
Kansas State, which is a Big 12 team, and Oklahoma, which came from the Big 12. But
they were in both those games, too.
Yeah, they should have beat Kansas State, by the way.
Yes, they should have.
They did not. But they are ranked 20th. Army is ranked 7th. So that's what we're looking at. If I mean BYU still had BYU and Colorado are still ranked ahead of those teams. But would Army jump because of a Notre Dame win and an undefeated season? That might be the only scenario I'm looking at, and maybe it takes out an ACC team.
Yeah,
but it's
you're right. It would be really hard.
It'd be really fun, but it might push out one of these SEC or might push out.
I don't know if it would push. It would be really hard though. How could you to leave out if we're trying to do the most democratic playoff we can while trying to get the 12 best teams? It'd be really hard to leave out an undefeated Army team with a neutral site victory over Notre Dame and another ranked win in their conference championship game against Tulane.
Let's say Texas goes 11. What if Texas loses another one? They'll probably be out. I would put Army ahead. And let's say Indiana loses to Ohio State. Let's just do everything stays the same. Army goes undefeated. Indiana loses to Ohio State and doesn't play in the Big Ten championship. Right? I think it would be Oregon, Ohio State in the Big Ten championship at that point. Right?
Yeah.
At 11-1, they might be left out over Army.
I would still want Indiana over
I agree.
Two-loss SEC teams, but you're right.
Just throwing it out there.
See that they're, especially as a conference champion Army, that carries weight with it.
What's fun, though, is that we get to find all these things
should play
out, and we'll get the best 12 teams, and it will be a lot better than it will be a lot better than just having the 4 teams, in my opinion.
Correct.
I think everything will work out, and we'll have a legitimate playoff to determine who is the best in college football.
Yeah, I agree. For possibly the first time ever, right? We could get to say that
no metrics, no BCS metrics.
Yeah,
right.
It'll be decided on the field, which will be nice.
You have your opportunity to earn everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really do. Hello there.
They're just saying hi. I think Tessa just got home. I'm gonna mute for a minute.
Okay.
They agree.
Yeah.
Earn it.
I concur.
All right. Good stuff.
Yep. Moving on to the NFL this week. Going to start back in Pittsburgh the day after the Pitt Panthers lost. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they beat the Baltimore Ravens 18-16 thanks to 6 field goals by kicker Chris Boswell. The Steelers are now 8-2. They have a 1.5 game lead over Baltimore in that AFC North. Boswell, they showed something about his kicking percentage at Acrisure Stadium now, not Heinz Field. It's absurdly high compared to his opponents. It's
79% compared to 53%. I think.
Yes, something crazy like that. So 79% as an NFL kicker now is not that great. But that stadium's always been so difficult to kick in because of the swirling winds, the weather, they're right at the rivers, right? It's not an ideal place to kick. But
can you name the rivers?
It is the Ohio, the Monongahela, and the Tuawaga, Allegheny.
Correct. There you go.
I dabble in geography.
You won a geography bee.
I did win a geography bee at one point in my life.
Better be able to get the 3 rivers.
Yes. But yeah, that's pretty impressive. The Steelers, I love them. That's the type of team, the type of coach, the type of culture that I'm into. Especially when you watch them play, how physical they were to the whistle. And then you watched how much they got under the Ravens' skin. That's always happened in those games. It's always that back and forth, give or take, kind of tit for tat. There's the most physical games. Yeah. Oh, yeah. But that's the thing, too, is you would do something, but did he do something dirty? No. He just blocked the guy downfield to the whistle, and it pissed the guy off, and the guy got mad about it.
Especially
but it's and then now he wasn't even the only lineman, too. They had several other linemen doing it. Right? You had that happening. You kind of saw the Ravens. Yeah, like I said, the Ravens normally will retaliate in those situations where, when they make a tackle, they'll kick their leg into you and step over you, right? That type of thing. But it showed that Pittsburgh and their culture and who they draft works. You saw impacts from Zach Frazier, Peyton Wilson with an unbelievable interception. Guys who, in a lot of ways, slipped that could have been taken a lot higher, but it's not the flashy position. It's not a position of need. It doesn't sell jerseys. The Steelers don't give a crap. You know what they care about? You know what sells tickets is winning. Winning every time, right? And that's what Mike Tomlin does. That's what the Steelers organization does. That's what they've done for freaking ever, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, by the way, they're sitting at 8-2.
Mm-hmm.
If Mike Tomlin gets one win out of these last 7 games, he has another season where he finishes above 500.
So every year he's been a coach?
Every single year he's been a coach of the Steelers.
That's
he's
amazing.
Finished above 500. Yeah, I was talking. My wife's a huge Steelers fan, and I was talking to her about this. I was like, you have never known in your lifetime what bad defense looks like,
or a bad team. Let's be honest, right?
Because I went to West Virginia, so I watched the West Virginia game the day before and how just horrendous the defense is and mental
70-63. Is that what that one game was?
May as well have been. It was Baylor dropped 35 in the first half and you couldn't stop a nosebleed. It was so bad. And then the mental, like the toughness of the team getting dragged into the end zone on like 6 yards, dragging you into the end zone when you're got 4 guys hanging on them. Like that is such a mental thing. That is a toughness thing. That is a will thing. That is, and just watching guys in the wrong spots and the discipline on the team just being awful. And then we flip on the next day, watch the Steelers game. Like every single person is in the correct spot.
Yep.
Everybody's communicating, everybody's doing their job, and everybody's tough. And it's all mental things that you can control. That's all things you can control. None of that's physical, right? And then you go play, use your physical gifts on the field like TJ Watt does and what Peyton Wilson did. But those are all mental things that you were in playing defense. And she has never seen a bad defense.
Oh.
It's like, God, it's so I was watching, I was like, God, this is beautiful.
Yeah, no, it's a real testament to the culture of the organization. It's a testament to the scouting by the front office, general manager on down through the coaching staff of who do we want? Who fits us? Right? Not necessarily who does Mel Kiper think or Todd McShay think should,
yeah.
Right? Who Tom McShay from?
Who the hell is Mel Kiper? I don't know where Tom McShay is from.
University of Richmond.
Is he really?
Yeah, I believe he went to the University of Richmond.
That's
I think he might have been a backup quarterback, to be honest.
I was about to rip him about his terrible SEC takes.
You got to check me on that. But, yeah, they really don't give a rat's ass of, okay, so I'll get a C grade on our draft or this or that. It's like what Belichick and the Patriots, like the teams that succeed, the Ravens, the Patriots, the Steelers, over and over again, they draft who they want and who they need, and that's what matters most. And they don't care what a pundit thinks. And that has to be the case.
Most.
What matters to me most. Thank you, Christopher Walken. I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
5 generations of large family breeding.
Jesus
Senator. I don't know what got into me.
Up with your stories about the mollusks and
the scallops.
The scallops. Moving on. Crab cakes in football. That's what Maryland does.
Ready for your sack lunch?
Nom, 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 nom.
And Baltimore losing to the Steelers. I think it said something too. Like Lamar Jackson has torched every team in the league except for Pittsburgh.
By the way, who also was huge? A former Raven, Patrick Queen.
Yeah,
that the Steelers picked up in the offseason. That was a massive pickup.
Yeah, he's a really good player.
Yeah, I like him.
From LSU, I believe.
Yes.
Yep. Moving on to the Colts. Indianapolis Colts. Anthony Richardson ran in his second touchdown of the game with 46 seconds left to propel Indianapolis to a 28-27 win over the lowly, hapless, what the hell is going on, New Jersey Jets.
Dumpster fire.
Yeah, my goodness. You talk about a team that has all the talent in the world and their organizational culture is garbage. That's them. They have more talent than the Steelers, I would argue.
Yeah, I agree.
But no way in hell they were going 8-2, right? No. By what's going on there. Cool for Anthony Richardson. Good game for him. I still think they're putting him. They're doing a disservice to him. Let's throw this young kid out there, then bench him, and throw him out there again, and he gets hurt, and then all this flip flopping. I think the biggest thing for him is to have continuity in the play caller and head coach positions. And as long as they keep winning games, I think they've gotten to 5 wins, which is amazing because they're not that good. As long as they keep that, they should keep that continuity. I think that would be the best for his development going forward.
Do you think him getting benched this last go around, though, as Bob Knight and Nick Saban have always said, the greatest motivator is ass meets bench? Do you think
kind of like when Harper got benched, Bryce Harper got benched for not running out that whatever the dinker?
Do you think that did something, lit a fire and said,
hey, maybe, hopefully, you want players like that. You want players that are coachable, that are moldable, right? That can
minds for molding,
that can take a hit and come back, because that's resilience and that's learning. You want someone who has the capability to learn and evolve and adapt and grow. So you would hope so. I don't know. I thought it felt more like they threw him back out there because Joe Flacco was ineffective. But maybe it was, hey, we're going to bench him, and if Joe Flacco is a little ineffective, we're going to use this as motivation, or maybe this is the plan the whole time. I don't know. But it could be. If it did, you hope that it did.
Or you go,
right?
See what we benched you for? Like, we need, like, this. You can be better. Like, come on.
Yeah, you hope so, right? He's still really young, but you hope so, right? If you're going to invest what they invested in him, you hope that those types of things pay dividends, and that this is more things to come. And that, like I said, his second rushing touchdown of that game was the game winner. Maybe he needs to use his legs a little more, rely less on his arm, obviously get down, avoid the hits, but maybe make that a little bit more part of his game.
There's guys like him and Josh Allen where if you try to just take their legs out and make them into something they're not, like they're trying to do something they're not, right? They're not there yet. Josh Allen has now proven that he has gotten there. Yes. Right? Remember when Josh Allen started?
Yeah, turnover machine. They
were terrible.
Yeah.
Now he's a perennial MVP candidate.
Correct.
Right? So Anthony Richardson, like he's got to. I know you don't want him to take unnecessary shots, but also part of his thing is that he's a big physical runner, and that's part of what he makes him great and why you drafted him.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Speaking of Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills and Bills Mafia, they handed the Kansas City Chiefs their first loss of the season with a 30-21 victory in Buffalo. I don't think Taylor was there. I think that's why they lost. But the aforementioned Josh Allen had 262 yards through the air with a touchdown and 55 more yards on the ground with another score. The Bills defense held the vaunted Chiefs offense to 259 total yards of offense across the game. It was a pretty sound, good victory for Buffalo. Maybe that avenged a lot of demons from their standpoint. But I think
belief that we can get over the hump, right? The belief, that's pretty good. There you go. Where's the dun?
Not worth it. Not worth it.
Freaking sleeping over there, letting the dogs out.
No, not worth it. It's not. Bill leave. Come on, we're better than that.
No, we're not. No, we're not. Speak for yourself, asshole.
I think what matters is that I think we are.
You are not worthy.
Yeah.
I don't take from you your power.
Your power.
Right.
But I mean, like, I think that game, like, it sucks to see a perfect season get broken up. But like, ordinarily, back when like the Patriot, like the old Patriot, like Brady Belichick Patriots would go on like a big run like this, I would always feel a little bit of relief when they would finally lose. It's like, all right, the pressure's off, right? Now we can just go out and play our game. Like, there's no like pressure to be perfect every week. But like, I don't know. Like, I feel like the Chiefs got to feel a little bad about it, because I feel like that they have to be like the quietest, like, undefeated team. Well, like, no one's really talking about them.
Part of that is because a lot of their victories, they've won some games they probably shouldn't have. Yes. But that is the mark of a champion, is you find a way to win, right?
Yeah.
And so you can't knock them for it. You almost want to praise them for it. But because of that, like, they haven't been blowing the doors off of people like we are accustomed to seeing from them. So I think that's part of it, is why it wasn't as hyped, is that everyone knew that they're going to lose eventually. There wasn't that like aura of will they lose? It's, well, when are they going to? Because you can't keep that up. You can't keep winning games that you should lose on a blocked field goal as time expired. as
that was
they did
like a
last week
32-yarder.
Exactly. Yeah, it was a short field goal, right? You
shot.
can't rely on that to win games week in, week out, right? And I think that's kind of why you're right. You didn't see that much hype going into it with them being undefeated, but this may be a good thing for them as well. You don't want to head into the playoffs undefeated. You don't.
I don't think it. You really don't, and I really don't think that like this loss really like does anything for them. Like I think if you're in the Chiefs camp, like if you're Andy Reid, you know that you have probably the most complete looking and dominant team in the game right now.
And then just the most confidence. You've been there before. You've done you literally have done everything.
Yeah. Right. 2 years in a row going for a third.
Yeah, so you're right. You could just chalk it up to, Buffalo finally got us. It had to happen one of these days. Let's make it the regular season. We'll get them in the playoffs.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. I think that's 100% what they're telling themselves. Like, oh yeah, let Buffalo think they have our number. We'll see them in the playoffs.
Yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, zero panic from Kansas City. Zero reaction. It's just a game. We lost it. They won. They're better. Move on.
You're already sitting at like above 5. You already know you're getting into the postseason. No problem.
I'm pretty sure
that division's not that good.
No, it's not. That's what I was gonna like bleed into there. Is that their division is kind of soft.
I will say though, an up and coming team is the Chargers. Go Chargers, go! As the governor used to say.
That was a Schwarzenegger.
Go Chargers,
Nick,
go!
Nick, we need to be better.
No, we don't.
Yes, no, we don't. Do, Nick. We need to be better.
Fine, then play the clip of Schwarzenegger saying it. Then we can just always tap that in.
Is there a clip of?
Yes, he's pumping up the San Diego crowd way back in the day, and that's where that clip is from. But while he's finding this, we'll go through the highlight. They played Cincinnati on Sunday night. The Bengals scored 21 straight points in the second half to tie the game at 27 apiece in the fourth quarter. But J.K. Dobbins had a 29-yard scamper with 18 seconds left, and that proved the game winner as L.A. beat Cincinnati 34-27 to improve to 7-3, which would sit them 2 games back of the aforementioned Chiefs in that division. That may be a little Harbaugh effect. I think some of the guys have said that back in the day they wouldn't have won that game, but with Harbaugh, they found a way to win. So
by the way, Harbaugh versus Harbaugh.
The Harbaugh?
The Harbaugh is 11:25, so it's Sunday.
No, I like that. That's a good game.
Or Monday. Was that Monday? Monday.
I don't give a shit. I don't know. Yeah, that would be Monday. Correct. That's Monday. As our producer Stephen Conlon was telling us in our ear, that is Monday. As he's
is that what it is? Yep, got it.
Yep, yeah. I got. Oh, thanks. As he's trying to find this ridiculous Arnold Schwarzenegger clip, pumping up the San Diego crowd back in the Qualcomm Stadium. By the way,
yes,
the company that I don't think do they still exist? They might still exist. Qualcomm. There's a chance. So you're telling me there's a chance? There's a chance.
We're going to talk about Qualcomm.
Yeah. Hey, if you still exist, Qualcomm, hey, contact us. We'll switch over and or whatever you have to do to get your service, whatever the hell your service is. We'll switch over if you contact us. Speaking about bygone days, the Detroit Lions, they absolutely annihilated the Jacksonville Jaguars, 52-6. That's right, 52-6. They improved to 9-1. For the first time since 1934, right? This Depression era shit right there. It's the largest margin of victory in Detroit franchise history. Jared Goff recorded a perfect passer rating for the second time in his career. They get 2 field goals. That's all, and that's as dominant as a performance as you can get. Yes, it is the Jags who have been a relative dumpster fire this year, but. Holy crap.
Do you know what the perfect passer rating is?
Isn't it 150?
No.
You're close.
158.3. Yeah, it's a random number. It's 158.3.
Math.
Yeah.
That
bunch of nerds came
That's why they came up with total QBR.
Shut up, science bitch.
You can make I more smarter. I'm sorry, sir.
They're on an 8-game win streak, undefeated on the road. Lions are awesome.
Oh, they are awesome.
Soar, lion, soar.
I believe that was Marlins Will Soar, Scott Stapp.
Yeah.
From Creed.
Marlins don't fly, neither do lions. It works.
But they both can swim.
Yeah. As long as it's not one of the... Lions don't like water.
South Africa.
Lions don't like water.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can do that.
We will establish a beachhead to aggressively hunt your family, your pride.
Taste for lion. Lion tastes good.
That go the way you thought it was going to go?
Didn't think so.
Nope.
All right, what else I got here? Oh, two more NFL stuff.
Bears.
That's what I was getting to. So in the Bears-Packers game, Jordan Love of the Green Bay Packers, he ran in the go-ahead touchdown with 3 minutes to go, technically 2 minutes and 59 seconds, by the way. And Carl Brooks blocked the potential game-winning field goal as time expired as Green Bay defeated Chicago 20-19 in that old AFC North or NFC North division clash. And the last one here, Geno Smith from
Woo! West by God, Virginia, baby.
Yes,
love me some Geno.
Geno scored the game-winning 13-yard rushing touchdown with 12 seconds left as the Seattle Seahawks kind of stunned, really, the 49ers 20-17. They didn't see it coming. It's like, man, they're in control, cruising, and Seattle just eked out that win. But what I thought was amazing, across the board, college NFL this week, there were a lot of quarterbacks getting the game-winning rushing touchdown, which is kind of indicative of this really new or different era of football that we're in with the mobile quarterback. Because back in the day, right, it was
hostile.
Thank you. Hold on that ball, Petey. But back in the day, it was about the prototype quarterback. The stand in the pocket statue, your Warren Moon, your Peyton Manning, like your
pocket
stand
presence.
there. Yes, right. Right. Remember that old Peyton commercial? 6'5", 230-pound quarterback, laser, rocket arm, like that. Like that is what everyone wanted, right? And now it's not the case. Now it's we're going to rely on you to be not just the leader out there, but the playmaker, almost like a point guard, right? Mm-hmm. We trust you to make the correct decision, whether it is to shoot or pass, right? And that's why we're seeing so many of these game-winning quarterback rushing touchdowns is a lot of time defenses have a hard time accounting for the quarterback run because you have to account for so many other things. That's the last thing you account for unless you have a guy that's like runs so much like Lamar Jackson, right? And they have different ways of going about it and neutralizing it, but it's always been really hard to account for it. And I think you're seeing that, hey, we know this is the hardest thing for them to account for. In crunch time, from the 10-yard line, let's run something, or let's put our QB on the move, or tell him if your first read's not there, look for a lane. And that's why you're seeing this. And it's fun. And it's good,
How about that division, by the way? The NFC West, the grouping is unreal. 49ers 5-5, Seahawks 5-5, Rams 5-5, Cardinals 6-4.
Yes.
Big 12.
The wild
of the NFL.
NFC West.
The wild.
It's the Big 12 of the NFL.
The Will
There's
Smith
no team that you look at and go, this team's phenomenal. Like you
wide
think,
open.
You think the 49ers, but then they continue to lose, right?
Yeah.
And then you go, well, it's anybody. Anybody can do anything, right? Big 12 of the NFL.
Yep. Love it. Anything NFL-wise before we move on?
By the way, the Bears-Packers, you know what the record is for the last 20 meetings?
Go, Pat, go.
I guess
go,
19
Pat,
meetings.
go. 18-1 Packers.
17-2. You're very close. 17-2.
Give me a shot of Malort. My goodness, that is.
But we still call it a rivalry, which is crazy. We still call it a rivalry.
Little bro.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Bears, where's Dicka?
Yeah, I don't have any. Oh wait. So isn't the Giants and the Cowboys play on Thanksgiving?
Oh God, do they? What a freaking horrendous game!
The Cooper Rush, Tommy Coldcuts Bowl.
Oh my God.
No, that's the Thanksgiving game.
Yeah,
I hope so.
It's Cooper Rush versus Tommy DeVito.
That'll show you what kind of football fan you are if you're going to sit there and watch
I am going to be so knocked out. I am going to be in a Thanksgiving coma.
I'm watching college basketball.
Yeah, that's your Thanksgiving like nap lullaby right there is your Giants Cowboys game. Even though I love me some Tommy Cold Cuts. Don't get me wrong, love me some Tommy Cold Cuts.
Isn't it Tommy Cutlets?
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Cutlets, cold cuts, whatever.
Yeah, but just insert derogatory stereotype here.
God, I want to go so left with that.
By the way, that decision to start DeVito instead of Drew Lock is absolutely for tanking. Right? You get
no way.
What are you talking about?
The team rallied around Tommy Cutlets last year.
Yes, they did.
They invested $5 million.
His agent, his family, the Cutlets, everything. No,
I think this was the tank.
This is your William Wallace battle cry.
No, seriously.
If they win, there's a problem though, because they need to get like Shador or Cam Ward. Like that needs to be on their like list of shit. We need another quarterback.
Yeah, goodness gracious. They,
and then
they also need to
pull a Archie and go, hey, my kid's not going to that trash.
Speaking of teams that are
they need to change a leadership. They need to change a GM and head coach. And if they don't, if I were Dion, I would definitely want my kid to go play there. Hell no.
Well, speaking of like teams that are playing themselves out of tanking, the Panthers have won 2 in a row. So they're 3-7 now.
So what I would say with them is they already have their quote unquote franchise quarterback, right, with Bryce Young.
Which
you invested much, right? You traded so much up to get him, right? So tanking for them would be the worst thing. They want to build that culture of winning. They want to win as much as they can, even if that means they win 5 games, right? They want to build something there. They are in the position where they need to win as much as possible, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas the Giants, they need to lose as much as possible because they need to change the leadership. They need to change a quarterback. They need to change everything. So, right. And you're not going to do that if you keep winning, right? You can't, it's hard to fire people if they're to rip off 6 games in a row or whatever, 5 games in a row to end the year. It'd be hard to fire and move on from these guys. But they need
a log jam, by the way. There's a log jam for that number 1 pick. We're halfway through the year, right? A little over halfway. There's a big log jam.
Yeah.
For that, there's the Jets at 3-8, the Patriots at 3-8, the Browns at 2-8, Titans at 2-8, Jaguars are your leaders in the clubhouse at 2-9. Vegas, they're 2-8, Giants 2-8, and Panthers at 3-7.
Yeah.
What happened?
I think we've lost Commo.
I don't know what happened. Yeah, I can hear you. I'm here. My camera took a big old Duke, though.
That's probably for the best. So that's going to go ahead and move us on to our Mimosa Minute this week, which is brought to you, as always, by Main & Co., the creators of the modern mimosa. Visit them at mainsip.com to order yours today and follow them on Instagram at main.co. Main & Co., championing women's athletics since 2020. This week, for my Mimosa Minute, I turn to the world of golf, right? And the Annika was the championship being played, which was a pro-am that, at the end of the day turns into a competitive, professional tournament with almost all of the big guns were there. And the biggest gun of all is Nelly Korda. She came from behind on Sunday to win by 3 strokes at -14 over Im Zhang and the incomparable Charlie Hull. This was win number 7 on the year for Nelly. She is the first woman since Yanni Sang in 2011 to win 7 times in a season. She is the first American to win 7 times in a year since Beth Daniel in 1990. That's an amazing accomplishment, what we saw.
Dude, that is
what
a crazy
we've seen.
stat.
Crazy, right? I was researching that and I was like, that's nuts. But next week is the last tournament of the year for the LPGA. I believe it is the CME Tour Champion, CME Group, which is the sponsor, Tour Championship in Naples, Florida. So that's something to look out for. That should be fun. And to wrap up, what's been a really exciting, fun year for golf and women's golf, especially with the Olympics and everything that's gone on there. It was awesome, fun. So that should be something cool to look out for over this weekend. Anything else, Mimosa Minute-wise? That was what I had. Do you guys have anything?
Yes, I did.
Good?
I did, as a matter of fact. So I don't want to like get into the whole quality of the production, but there was a women's boxing fight during that Tyson during the Paul Tyson card.
Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano.
Yes. That fight went the distance, went to the judges' scorecard. That was a great fight. Amanda Serrano went up 3 divisions. She's usually like a flyweight, but I think she went up to light featherweight to compete in this. If you take anything away from that, this was the most watched women's fight in women's boxing history, and both women got absolutely paid for it, which they absolutely deserve. And Katie Taylor, the Irish woman, ended up taking the victory via unanimous decision from the judges' scorecard. A lot of controversy in that fight because you had an orthodox fighter fighting a southpaw, and because of that, they're always kind of like they're going to be circling towards the other's dominant hand. So when they shoot in, they're primed to kind of collide in a very, very weird way. And so you saw a lot of like head contact. And, from like someone who doesn't watch women's boxing like me, it was like, oh, okay, well, that's normal, right? It just makes sense. But then it was marred in controversy because I guess a lot of Katie Taylor's past fights fighters have been like seriously cut, seriously injured because of the headbutting.
Mm-hmm. And you saw that with Amanda Serrano.
Amanda Serrano got gashed.
I mean, that was...
It was like, I'm not really squeamish, but that was uncomfortable to look at.
That was a little rough.
In between rounds, they're like zooming in on it, and like they had the doctor inspect it at one point. It was a tough watch. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was a tough watch, and the headbutting kept happening. Like they kept being in that same spot, so the cut kept getting bigger and bigger. And I say all this not to like highlight like the goriness of it or the like brutality of it, but more like it was a fun watch, and it was cool to see like 2 women perform in the biggest stage, especially Amanda Serrano specifically because she's so out of her element in terms of like weight class and weight division that it was really, really cool to see. I just wanted to shout them out. Shout out to them.
I mean, that head body. That was like Apollo Creed and Rocky.
Yes, it was.
Because it was relentless.
Yes, it was.
Relentless. You had, like you said, the Amanda Serrano cut me Mick moment, right? Like it was relentless. It was physical. It was incredible.
And then like even then, like you could tell both of them didn't really know where they stood in terms of like the judges' scorecards. So the 10th round, they came out and just started swinging in the middle of the ring. Toe-to-toe, big, wild, brutish haymakers. Oh my gosh. I got up and got to the edge of my seat. That was insane to watch.
Yeah. That was that's as good of a boxing match as you'll ever watch, regardless of who is fighting. That was 100%. A pretty incredible match. And I think that was for a belt, right? They had
so it was. So Katie Taylor, I mean, boxing, and one of the reasons why I can't watch boxing is because there's just so many titles and stuff.
You have no idea. Like saying it's for a belt means nothing, really.
Yeah, right? Fucking figure it out. But Katie Taylor, since it was a sanctioned and legitimate fight, Katie Taylor had a bunch of had her belts on the line, and she has a bunch of them. She's a very dominant force in the women's boxing world, and I think
so is Amanda Serrano.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is in her own right. But this was, I think, the second time that they fought, and Katie Taylor's won both times. But it sounds like after like the exposure that they got in this, that there's going to be a trilogy.
Oh yeah. Why not? I mean, you said figure it out. They figured it out. Everyone's getting paid a shit ton of money. What else is there to figure out?
Yeah, I mean that was really the bottom line from this fight card, is that it's like all right, here you go, like money talks, bullshit walks. But yeah, I don't want to get into the whole fight card. That really pissed me off, the whole experience.
I'm glad. I'm happy for you. That's why Netflix is a scam, by the way. All right. Moving on. It's a scam. Straight up scam. Moving on to the NBA now. Victor Wembanyama, or Wemby, as he's colloquially known by, became the tallest player ever
Just
and
another
the
bad
fourth
nickname.
Spur ever to score 50 points in a game when he did so in San Antonio's 139-130 win over our struggling Washington Wizards last week. But I thought that was cool. Tallest guy ever to score 50. And right, think about all those tall, like Yao never got to 50. Wemby did it. And if you watch in that game, he was on it. It was awesome. Like it just the fantastic. What struck me though was the fact that there was no one in the freaking stands. Like, what are you people doing in San Antonio?
It was in San Antonio. That wasn't in DC.
No, it was in San Antonio. Manu Ginobili was sitting courtside.
Oh.
It was in San Antonio, and yeah, I know both teams aren't that good. The Wizards are horrendous. But
always
horrendous. If you had a chance to go see Wemby play every game, why is your butt not there? I mean, Cleveland was packed when LeBron came up in every game he played. Right? I don't recall LeBron playing in front of empty crowds just because the Cavaliers sucked. I don't get it.
Where do the Spurs play? Is it like downtown San Antonio?
The Alamo Dome, don't they? Or are they in a different arena?
Frostbank Arena.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, I'm looking it up because I'm thinking, no, it's definitely not an inconvenience to get there. Like, this is very much like right outside downtown San Antonio. Yeah, so yeah, I couldn't tell you why. just
struck me as odd. And again, both teams aren't very good. Both teams, well, the Wizards are definitely not going to go to the playoffs, but the Spurs probably aren't going to get to the playoffs. But you've got a chance to watch a dude who you may never see someone like him before, who's going to go drop 50 points at 7'4", drain in, catch and shoot threes, and having 5-5 games where he lights up the stat sheet with 5 different stats at 5 or more accumulated, markers. Guys like this don't come around ever. Why are you not
the French rejection?
Yeah, why are you not at the game?
It's a Wednesday. It's a Wednesday night game
against
the Wizards, and
I know it was, but
they're in San Antonio.
If that game is in LA and it's a Lakers Spurs, that place would be full of people.
Well, the Lakers played there on Friday after they played the Wizards. I wonder if I can.
No, but what I'm saying is, even if it's in LA, Lakers Spurs on a Wednesday is going to be full of people and probably be on TV, like national TV. Look, I get it; they play a lot of games, but
that's also true.
You got a chance to see that dude play.
I'm trying to figure out if there was anything else going on.
You get your ass out there and you find that fucking dog. Like,
you got to think. You got a dog. You got a responsibility.
Yeah, that's just my 2 cents for what it's worth, which is 0, by the way. It's worth negative cents, but yeah. Jason Tatum of the Boston Celtics, of the NBA champion Boston Celtics, he hit the buzzer-beating three-pointer in overtime as Boston topped Toronto 126-123 Saturday night. Boston's playing pretty well. They had some cool. I don't know if you saw these jerseys. I liked them. They had like the highlighter-ish, like the bright green on the lettering. It looked a little different from like a departure from what they had before, but I like those. Moving on, DeAndre Hunter from
UVA.
Hey-o. He led the way for the Atlanta Hawks with 24 points. And Dyson Daniels blocked De'Aaron Fox's potential game-winning shot with 2.1 seconds left as Atlanta defeated Sacramento 109-108 on Monday night. Wanted to throw that one in there for you. Milwaukee-wise, Damian Lillard hit the winning layup with 3.9 seconds left as the Bucks edged the Rockets and snapped the Rockets' 5-game winning streak, 101-100. Do you want to guess who was the game's leading scorer with 27 points?
In the Rockets game?
Rockets-Bucks game. Game's leading scorer, 27 points.
I have no idea.
Giannis?
Brook Lopez.
Really?
That guy is still in the league?
What the hell?
He just dropped 27. That guy is still in the league. Just dropped a casual 27.
Was he Stanford?
Stanford, yes. Him and Robin.
Fred VanVleet was right behind him.
27 points. Isn't that amazing? I thought that was worth.
36 years old.
Just dropped 27 in an NBA game.
Not only that, it was a double-double. He had 10 rebounds, too.
Yeah. The fact that he keeps producing like this is unbelievable. I love it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Big men who can shoot. It's great. Last thing here, the Cleveland Cavaliers, they became the 4th team ever to start 15-0 with their 128-114 win over the Charlotte Hornets on Sunday. They're tied for the second best start in league history with the 93-94 Rockets and the 1948-1949 Washington Capitals with an O, by the way. The Washington Capitals at 15-0. The best start was the, I believe, 24-0, 25-0 by the Warriors in 15-16, so they still got a ways to go for that. But in that game, 4 starters for Cleveland scored 20 or more points, including a career-high tying 24 from Ty Jerome from
UVA,
who was starting in place of Donovan Mitchell. Loved it. Anything else, basketball-wise?
Oh, actually, hold on real quick. Before we move on. So that Spurs-Wizards game, not to beat a dead horse,
beat it.
Box score has it as almost a sellout crowd. They have the attendance at just over 16,000.
I'm calling Boshi on that because they were so. I mean, you couldn't not see all the empty seats. It was like an April baseball game in Detroit. Like,
yeah, how many times have we seen baseball stadiums do that? Where it's like that, and they go announce the crowd of 18,000 or whatever, and you're looking at Oakland Stadium, you're like, there's
4 people here. Yeah,
it's probably because a lot of people bought tickets thinking they were going to see Marvin Bagley III. Didn't see Marvin Bagley III.
That's right.
Load management.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. We're load managing Marvin Bagley III.
Yeah, sounds about right. Moving on to the NHL now, a couple quick things for you. Connor McDavid became the 4th fastest player ever to 1,000 career points in Edmonton's 3-2 overtime win over the Predators. 4th fastest. The 3 in front of him are Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, and Mike Bossy.
Those guys ain't good?
I think so. I got some more names here for you to put this in perspective. He's the 4th youngest ever to 1,000 points behind Gretzky, Lemieux, and Steve Yzerman, Stevie Y. He's the 4th Oiler ever to get to 1,000 after Gretzky. Do you know the other 2?
Oilers. Say that one more time.
The other 2 Oilers to get to 1,000 points. You have Gretzky, you have McDavid. Who are the other 2 Oilers?
Did Hull play for the...
No, he did not.
No. Esposito?
No, he didn't play for them. I'll get to Brett Hull and Esposito here in a second, by the way. I hear this guy really stinks.
Asparagus?
Messier is one of them.
Messier, you stink.
And Yari Curry.
Hall of Famer Curry. Love Curry. It.
Yep.
Icon.
Yes. Finnish.
That's interesting.
No Swedish, all Finnish for him. Then, moving on, some Pittsburgh stuff, because we've talked about that city enough today, right? After blowing a 3-0 lead at home, the Penguins beat the San Jose Sharks 4-3 in a shootout, thanks to Evgeny Malkin's winning tally against Mackenzie Blackwood of the Sharks, who's Blackwood's been pretty good this year, by the way.
That team has hit rock bottom.
San Jose?
No. Well,
Pittsburgh?
They've been rock bottom. Pittsburgh, they're bottoming out right now. They do not look good.
Their age is showing on them. Keeping with San Jose, by the way, Macklin Celebrini, who was the number 1 overall pick in last year's NHL draft, he scored the game winner 46 seconds into overtime, which was his first OT winner of his career, as San Jose beat the Detroit Red Wings 5-4 on Monday night. Thought that was kind of cool. Wanted to mention that for him. And then, lastly here, NHL-wise, on Sunday, Alexander Ovechkin, the Great 8, he registered his first career hat trick in the Capitals' 5-2 win over the Vegas Golden Knights. He is 6th all-time in career hat tricks. Can you name the 5 players ahead of him?
Hull, Gretzky, Lemieux, Esposito.
Who's the 5th one? Our father will be very upset you didn't get this one. I'll give that as the hint.
So it's an Islander. In the 80s.
Esposito, Brett Hull, this player, Lemieux, Gretzky. Gretzky has a record with 50. Who is the last player that you are missing, that you should not be missing, because we've already said his name today, just a few minutes ago, who played for the Islanders in the 80s. My goodness, people.
Hold on, wait. It's on the tip of my tongue. You just got to give me a second. Let me
We don't
think.
have time, man. We don't
Let
have
me
time.
Reggie, I don't know it. I don't know it.
Spoiler alert, it is not Reggie Leach, by the way. It is Mike Bossy. We literally just said his name, Mike Bossy.
Mike Bossy.
Right? Yeah, OV, I think, is 1 behind Esposito, 2 behind Hull. I think Bossy is at 39, so he's, a few behind, 8 behind him, and then Lemieux, and then Gretzky's at 50.
So with that hat trick, he's also the 15th oldest player to record a hat trick in the NHL.
That's a weird stat.
Yeah, 15th. And then he's also the first player 39 and older to reach 15 goals first in a season. 15 goals in 18 games. He scored 2 against Utah last night before leaving with a lower leg injury.
Thank you. The Caps won that game 6-2, by the way.
And the Caps have now scored 4 more goals in 15 of their 18 or 19 games this season. Yeah. They're lighting it up.
And he leads the league with 15 goals, by the way.
Yeah.
Ahead of the likes of Leon Draisaitl and Sam Reinhart and the other guys who are like almost half his age at this point, lighting the lamp. He still, right now, is the king of swing or slapping.
The Sultan of swing.
Sultan of slapping.
I figured out he wasn't really a sultan.
Thank you, Big Stein.
Anything else? This guy bringing $40, no problem, right?
Anything else hockey-wise before we move on?
You brought up the Predators a little bit ago, and it just like immediately popped into my head because I despise the Nashville Predators.
Why? They're awesome.
Because of Philip frickin' Forsberg.
Why? Because your stupid Caps. Who'd they trade for him? Radek Dvorak or something?
No, it was the Capitals traded
Radim Verbata.
No, they traded Martin Erat and Michael Latta. And
that's it, Martin Erat.
Worst trade. Revisiting this, worst trade in like our era of hockey, possibly of all time.
Yes.
Forsberg has gone on to score like 600 goals, and Erat and Latta aren't in the league anymore, and I think combined for 2 goals in 66 games. It's disgusting. I hate it. Sell the team. sell the Predators. Forsberg to retire. I can't stand it.
They started out really rough, but I think they're kind of turning things around. They got. I
feel like that's usually their MO.
Stamkos is on them now. Did you know that?
Yeah, that was a big deal because the Lightning let him go. They didn't re-sign him. He didn't want to go back, and for whatever reason, he chose to leave and go play there, which is crazy. Like I think that's like the first time I can think of like a captain leaving since like Callahan.
Well,
right?
Callahan got traded.
Yeah, but it's kind of like in the same breath, though. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
It isn't. It's different when you get traded because that's out of your hands, right? You have some ownership and ability to say I want to stay here, right? You have that agency.
The crazy thing is that like he never said why. I don't think it ever came. I don't think it ever came out. It never came out that like the Lightning like wouldn't pay him or he wanted too much. It was just very quietly like he said goodbye on the rink during playoffs, and here we are a couple months later, and he's playing in Nashville.
Well, hockey's that kind of sport too. That guys don't, and front office guys, they don't make that. They don't want the reality show, right? That if you're in some other leagues like the NBA or the NFL, your agent may be purposefully telling you to say these things to get the reality show, the TMZ clip, the Real Housewives equivalent.
No, these guys are gladiators.
Of us bickering in public over millions of dollars, right?
Let's see how he's doing.
You don't have that in hockey. Like that would almost blackball you. I feel like that's just not part of the culture in that sport.
He's playing all right. 19 games, 6 goals, 4 apples. Minus 13 though, that's not good. But that's not really a forward stat. But yeah, I mean he's not having. I mean, again, he's somebody who's getting up there. He's 34, 35, and he's got 10 points through 19 games. That's not bad for him.
Yeah. Anything hockey wise before we move on?
Go Caps! Get better, Ovi.
Lower body injury, or bruise on the leg is a hell of a long way from the heart.
Did you see Tom Wilson destroy that guy afterwards? Oh my God. He hit him hit him 3 times with like 3 good ones and just slept him. Tommy.
Yeah, I mean, Wilson.
That guy will be the next captain when Ovi retires. Mark it.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not problem with it.
I just marked it.
100%.
Did you mark it? Mark the clip.
I meant like jot that down, bozo. But yeah, mark it. Not that I'm counting the days till Obi retires because I'll probably cry when he goes. Yeah, good point.
Come on, Herb.
Well, first off, through God, all things are possible. So jot that down.
Oh yeah, Doc said you got a bruise.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to move us on to some tennis. Yes, we covered the WTA or the women's tennis finals last week, I believe, with Coco Gauff winning. This week was the men's turn, the ATP finals. An American, Taylor Fritz, he became the first American to reach the ATP finals since 2006. In 2006, James Blake was the American who got to the finals. He lost to Roger Federer at that time. Fritz beat Alexander Zverev, Sasha Zverev, 6-3, 3-6, 7-6, and 3 to advance to the finals. He faced Italian Jannik Sinner in the finals, which is a rematch of the U.S. Open finals from this year. Sinner went on to win. It became Sinner's first career ATP Tour final. He won straight sets 6-4, 6-4, doing so in front of his home crowd in Torino, Italy. He claimed the $4.8 million purse, which was the same size as the women's championship. Sinner is the first Italian to ever win this event, and he's the first player to do so without dropping a set the entire tournament since Ivan Lendl in 1986, which is pretty
Who could forget that match?
Yeah. The Helsinki incident of 1922, man. You can't forget that. But no, so the finals in tennis, what they do is it's that, like, the top 8 players in the world compete in like a round robin, and then they kind of reseed it from there, and they do like basically one match playoff, like a normal tournament. So every match you're playing is against the best of the best. So for him to not drop a set against the other top 7 players in the world is pretty amazing. He is going to retain his number 1 ranking, by the way, going into the next year. But the bigger question is, do you know who the last American was to win the ATP finals? So ATP is male, so it'd be last American male to win.
Andy Roddick.
The boy's closer.
What do you mean closer?
Yeah, what do you mean by closer?
You're
Arthur Ashe.
Way closer. No, the last American to win was Pete Sampras when he defeated Andre Agassi in 1999.
Okay.
So how are we judging it by closeness? I'm curious what your scale is.
Because Agassi was in the final.
Agassi was in the final. Roddick wasn't even playing then in 99. Roddick never made it to a final.
So it's an era thing.
Sure,
okay.
Taylor.
No, I was just wondering what your... Yeah, good one. Hold on. I'm looking up Andy Roddick.
I don't know if he ever played in the ATP final, because if the last American to get there was James Blake in 2006, maybe Roddick got to one in between Sampras and James Blake, but I don't know. I do think it's kind of cool that they get a crap ton of money for winning that.
What was this? The ATP Masters?
The ATP finals. Like the Tour Championship, essentially, is what this is. Like how they said the CME Group Tour Final for the women's golf. This is the equivalent for that tennis-wise. The FedEx Cup Championship for golf, like I said, this is the tennis equivalent.
Gotcha.
How you doing there?
I don't know how to read this.
Not too good.
Andy Roddick.
It's the moves.
ATP.
Or stupid.
Sorry.
Not too good.
Won 5 ATP Masters 1000 singles titles.
Yeah, that's not this. That's like the type of tournament. The tennis is weird. No, you would have
tennis
to.
Tennis is weird. Figure it out, tennis.
Yeah. $4.8 million for winning a tournament. I think they got that figured out. So,
like I said, money talks.
That's all that you see. Tell these assholes to figure out. I think they got it figured out. This is how much you can get paid for showing up and doing your job.
All right, tennis news. Boy, Nick, I'm assuming you're gonna get to this, but Nadal retired.
Yeah, did we not say that? Yeah, he's officially done. Right, played his last match ever.
I must have been looking up the tennis match.
But did he? Is he gonna? Is he? He's not gonna bring it back for the one time.
He's like, it's a clay court. Let me just play this one tournament.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, if he did it, it would be at Roland Garros. He might, like, that's the only thing I could see him, but he's done. He's officially done being a full-time member of the tour. He's riding off the sunset. I thought we said this a couple weeks ago.
We talked about like passing the torch to like Alcaraz.
Well, he is officially retired.
Yes, officially.
I thought the final match of his career.
Like he made like a press conference and all that.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Good for him. Thanks for everything.
Thanks for evening out your biceps.
He retires on Tuesday at the Davis Cup after more than 20 years in pro tennis.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
What's his net worth?
That's a good question.
Because that's all that really matters.
Rafael Nadal, net worth, I'm going to say 150 mil.
They have this
like a lot of money. What are you people doing? Just Google Nadal net worth.
I did. It's not giving me that like nice AI thing.
You use the AI thing? No, you got to go to Celebrity Net Worth. That's celebritynetworth.com or whatever it is.
Oh, it is at 340 million.
Holy crap.
And that's from Forbes. So that's it's legit. All right, wow.
Celebrity Net Worth has him at 220.
Can't take it with you. Spend it while you can.
June 3rd.
It's a Pierre Cardin. We're blowing it all.
You can blow a grand at Disneyland like that. We're gonna be all over that shuffleboard court.
Or like in How I Met Your Mother when Barney buys the diamond pinstripe suit, the DiBiase. I'd literally glow in the dark. All right, well, good tennis.
Tennis thing. Do you have a Milos thing you could get to real quick?
You want to just wrap? You want to wrap? Put a nice, pretty bow on tennis with Milos.
I
know that the Billie Jean King Cup, I think, is going on, so maybe we can get to that next week. But
it's a baby.
He's not even a man. He's not married like I am.
He's going to hit balls with Sat Rocket.
He's a little baby.
Yes.
Hey, Patty.
Thank you, Milos. Thank you. All right. That's going to move us on to our final segment, mercifully, of the evening, which is our favorite segment, which, as always, is brought to you by One Legacy Title and Escrow in Jacksonville, Florida. Visit them at onelegacyflorida.com and follow them on Instagram at onelegacyflorida to see how they can help you with your next house closing. One Legacy Title and Escrow, because your legacy matters. Mm-hmm. This week, for our favorites, we went with our favorite football coaches of all time. American football coaches of all time. I think that needs some defining there for some of us. Who would like to start with their favorite American football coaches of all time?
I'll go. Dibs, you went first last week, boy. All right, honorable mention, I'm going Chip Kelly. Love Chip Kelly. I like Chip Kelly. You know, I feel like we grew up in a good era to like watch Chip Kelly like contribute, and I always think Oregon when I think Chip Kelly. I feel like any like respecting football enjoyer would think Oregon, but yeah, Chip Kelly, honorable mention. I had to throw him in there. Number 5, I'm going Tony Dungy. Hall of Famer. I'm going Tony Dungy for number 5. And then I'm going with a student of the master in the 4 slot, Mike Vrabel. Give me Vrabel in the 4 slot, because I've seen like that, like the last like couple years that he was in Tennessee, we saw some good like Belichickian.
Yes, you did.
Exploits out of that, and I love that. I love that. Give me Vrabel in the 4 hole. Number 3, I think this is going to be the biggest shock to you guys. I'm going Jay Gruden. I'm going Jay Gruden in the 3 hole.
Book it.
Good. I had a good personal relationship with Jay Gruden for a little bit, working at the country club where he was a member. Always kept me on my toes. He was hysterical.
Get him chopping.
If I had another 30 minutes, I could wow you with some stories. But yeah, give me Jay Gruden in the 3 hole. Love you, Jay. His wife actually had a hole-in-one at Creighton pretty recently. That was cool because I still follow him on Facebook, you know, so I see like they post stuff like that. Yeah, his wife had a hole-in-one at Creighton. That's pretty cool. Sherry, great tennis player too, by the way.
Would you like to try this wine?
80. Number 2, this one I think you could flip a coin for, but number 2, I went Nick Saban. I went big Nick Saban, which I think there should be no illusions about number 1. It's Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick, number 1. commitment to the game, knowledge of the game, football IQ, lower than nobody. Love Bill Belichick, and I personally enjoyed the year off tour that he's been doing. The commercials, which are hilarious. Is that a DraftKings commercial or a Prize Picks? Prize Picks.
I don't know if it's Underdog. I think
that's it. Yes, it's Underdog. You're right. So that commercial's hilarious. It's good to see the big guy smile. I don't think in the years we've been watching him coach, even all the rings he's won, I don't think we've seen him smile nearly as much as we have this past year. Bill Belichick, Papa Bill in the one hole.
We're on to Cincinnati. Yeah,
we're on to Cincinnati.
Yeah. Boy.
All right, I got 2 honorable mentions this week. My first honorable mention. How about Mike Leach, the late great Mike Leach?
Good call.
Changed the game, Mike Leach. He was I believe he was a high school football coach in Texas before he got his opportunity.
He never played football. He never played college football. I don't even think I don't even think he played in high school.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
He's like one of the biggest anomalies or just crazy stories of football. And he is one of the biggest, he's the start of the spread run and gun offense. The air raid, I believe is what it's called. The air raid offense started with Mike Leach.
Yes. Him and
Texas high school. Then he went to Texas Tech.
Valdosta State was where they honed it. Him and I forget the other guy's name. They kind of came up with it. I believe it was Valdosta State. Maybe another D2 Georgia school, but yeah, that's where he came up with it. He got notoriety. Got in his first real big break was at Texas Tech with Crabtree, right? And,
and
Kingsbury,
Graham
Harrell,
Graham Harrell. Yes, Graham Harrell. Yep. And I believe Dana Holgerson was the offensive coordinator.
Yes. Yeah, I think Kingsbury was one of his quarterbacks, though. Kingsbury.
That sounds right.
That's pretty cool.
I believe Graham Harrell was the starting quarterback for that Crabtree.
Yes, he was. Yes, the iconic touchdown he scored against Texas.
Yep.
But
Mike Leach, love me some Mike Leach. Next,
for sure.
Andy Reid. I think he's still somehow one of the most underrated coaches, and he's got 3 Super Bowls. Right?
Yeah.
From his days in Philly, where he just couldn't beat Belichick, but he was so damn good, and those teams with McNabb.
You're not Donovan McNabb.
This 2 weeks in a row.
That's 2 weeks in a row.
Enjoy delicious. What's the thing he plugs?
It's like
I'm loving it.
Sausage McMuffin. I'm loving it. Andy Reid.
Yeah, put it in park. I don't like these commercials with Andy Reid. I don't like these Andy Reid State Farm commercials. Yeah, not a big fan of the Bundle Rooskies.
Yeah, but you know who likes it is Andy Reid, who's getting paid a lot of money for it.
Heck yeah, he is.
But Andy Reid's been phenomenal.
100%.
He needs to be talked as one of the best coaches ever.
Yeah,
absolutely, he should be. I would argue he shouldn't actually top 5 coach ever.
Yeah, I agree. All right, and number 5, Dan Campbell. Just an absolute culture changer.
Yes.
Nut job in all the good ways.
Yes.
Love Dan Campbell. What he's done, talk about completely changing an organization with the lowly Detroit Lions of how just god-awful they were for decades.
God-awful doesn't even do it justice.
Yeah, true.
It doesn't.
To be an NFL team and be that bad is
it was really sad. It was what it was truly
especially
sad.
With some of the weapons they had on those teams too.
The Stafford, Calvin Johnson.
When you spend every draft drafting 4 straight wide receivers, you'd hope one of them can do something.
Facts. That's fair.
Matt Millen, what is that his name? Guatemalan demographic will let us know about that.
Coming in at number 4, guy from Fairmont, West Virginia, Nick Saban.
There you go.
He's also, you talk about Belichick, how great it is to see him smile. Same exact thing with Saban on College Game Day. To see him in a buddy cop movie with McAfee, and their dynamic is absolutely hilarious every single week. With Saban, I mentioned it earlier that Nick Saban and Bob Knight, one of their favorite things was the best motivator in sports is ass meets bench. I'm a big believer in that as well.
Hell yeah.
I love Nick Saban. I think people always hated those Alabama teams because they kept winning. It was like, I love it. I absolutely love it.
Machine-like, that's why.
Yes, and they're winning in ways that you can respect.
For sure.
They do all the little things and he doesn't miss a detail. Number 3, a new guy that has come just out of nowhere the last few years. Dan Lanning out in Eugene, Oregon.
Okay.
If you show your team Gladiator and then they take that and go onto the field and they're doing the execute thumbs down after plays, I'm all in. Give me Dan Lanning. He has quickly become one of my favorite coaches ever.
Boy, do you know what we were shown in high school right before I believe we played Broad Run in the
300.
locker room? It was the last fight scene of Braveheart.
Oh, God. See, that becomes a little bit cheesy, though, at that point.
But then it was on a little laptop that we had to huddle around to watch.
Jeez, that's a Kerry Vipon special.
It wasn't him.
It wasn't him?
It was
Todd?
Yeah. I love that movie. So, not...
It's a great movie.
Why wouldn't you just watch 300? I guess you don't want to give the Spartans any credit.
Now, you also don't want to get in trouble. Well, yeah, we were playing... Isn't Broad Run... What are they?
Broad Run's the Spartans.
You can't watch that, asshole. Come on. Get your head out of the gutter and use your some sort of sized brain you have over there. You can't... No, you can't do that. Oh, because pretend it's not the Spartans because we're about to play the Spartans. You don't know.
Any excuse to watch 300, I'm in. But...
Facts.
Dan Lanning showing them Gladiator and having the whole team do the execute signs is
that was enough for you.
Awesome.
That was enough to secure the 4 seed. That's crazy. That's go on.
Spot. Absolutely.
Wow.
I had Dan Lanning on my list anyway. I absolutely love him. But this definitely pushed him up.
Okay.
Number 2, Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, figured.
He's so good.
Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah, true. But I absolutely love Mike Tomlin.
Yes.
I've always been a big fan of him and the way
Mike Tomlin from
their defense. William & Mary.
Correct. By way of Hampton, Virginia.
Virginia product. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but Mike Tomlin, it's another year where he will not have a losing record, which is absolutely insane. And then number 1, I'm with Comlo. It has to be Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick.
Yes. I misinterpreted the rules.
Every little thing to find a way to win. And I think John Madden has the quote where you think you know a lot about football until he met Bill Belichick and he realized he knew nothing. And he was like, oh my God, this guy is so smart.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick, absolutely in the number 1 spot. I'll hang up and listen.
All right. So my honorable mention this week was Tony Dungy of the Bucks, and he finally broke through and got his win with the Colts in the Super Bowl. Love him. I love the fact that he was able to succeed without being a psycho. Because I was kind of like, oh, you have to be nuts and rah-rah and screaming all this. And he was like, no, I'm just going to be myself, and I'm going to win because I'm better than you at coaching, right? And he did for a long time, over and over and over again in multiple organizations. So love me some Tony Dungy. Number 5, surprised this wasn't on your radar, boy. Mike Gundy. He's a man. He's 40 from Oklahoma State.
Gundy. That's a miss on my part.
That's a good one.
With the mullet and everything going.
You know why I missed it?
Because they're not doing well this year.
Because they're not doing well this year.
I believe they're 0-7 in the Big 12. Their last
They were Vegas odds had them at I think 3rd to win the Big 12, and I thought they were going to win it. You want to talk about just absolute collapse this year after returning your entire offense, including the Doak Walker Award winner.
Yes, but
I think that's why it slipped my mind there.
Love Mike Gundy. Awesome. Number 4, I have Bronco Mendenhall, the aforementioned Bronco Mendenhall. The fact that he purposefully chooses the hardest situations to go turn around says so much about that human being. Like, that's all you need to know. And the fact that he turns them around is amazing. There's very few humans with the ability to do that in this world. Like, that's a special person, especially when you consider the fact that you're leading hundreds of people, right? Because it's not just you're leading the players, it's the support staff, it's the whole athletics, organization of all those sports. You're leading them as a football coach of the team, right? At this point in time. So to be able to do that the way he's been able to do at multiple places. Yes, I know BYU, you wouldn't consider it a turnaround, right? But in a lot of ways, it's sometimes a tough place to win by the standards that they have.
It's
right?
a really hard place to win.
And do that there, then go to UVA and it got to an ACC championship game, I think.
Yes, he did. They played Clemson.
And got annihilated like 70 to 4, but how'd they get 4? I don't know. Right, but it doesn't matter, right?
At one point, they had the number one offense in
the country. Yes, yeah.
That's
again to do that in these places. Now, like we say, he's at New Mexico, who they hadn't beat a ranked team in 21 years. Right, to do these things is incredible. People don't do it. A lot of times, it's like the surgeon mentality. I'm not going to do it because there's a risk. I don't want to have my name tainted. And he's saying, no, screw that. I will succeed. I will win. Say his kids' names.
His quote, "Will before skill," I believe, is like the way he recruited and everything. That was his whole philosophy.
His recruiting classes are always low because he doesn't give a shit what your measurables are that put you high recruiting. He cares about that.
And does he still do the numbers thing?
I think he only did that at UVA, and he adapted that because of the culture he saw at the time. He's like, how do I get these guys to care more about what they have to do than like the name on the back, right? More about like care about being a football player.
Yeah. It was always funny looking at the backup quarterback with number 99.
Yes. Awesome, by the way. What I thought was so cool about that too, with the culture he built, is that Keaton Thompson, who was a transfer as a quarterback at Mississippi State, and he transferred to UVA and became kind of like a Swiss Army knife type of guy. Taysom Hill, some stuff for it, right? He kept that number his whole time.
98,
right? I believe he was 98, 99, something like in the 90s. He kept that number. So when he had the chance to move up because of his system that Bronco had, where you had to earn your place to pick your number, it wasn't just quarterbacks get to choose here. Everyone had to earn like a selection based off all these metrics, right? And Keaton Thompson, because when he transferred in, was like last on the list because he hadn't earned any metrics because he just walked in the door, right? He had was stuck with 98, right? What I love is that he kept it as like a badge of honor. Like there's just stuff that these dudes did that was just, amazing. And for him to do that at these places, again, New Mexico, 1 win away from being bowl eligible his first year, is remarkable. Number 3 is a combo pick here for me. It is the Steelers coaches of our lifetime, which is 2, Bill Cowher and Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think in our parents' lifetime, there's basically been 3,
4,
right? 4, maybe 4 idea. Chuck Noll,
Bill, 60 years.
Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, and Mike Tomlin. I don't know who's before Chuck Noll, but that's like all you've had. That's all we know. And it, again, organization-wise, they may be the best. Those coaches are phenomenal. Like a big fan of them. So I had to put them together just because of that. Number 2, Herm Edwards. You play to win the game. I love Herm, even though he came to an acrimonious end at Arizona State. God, I love Herm. I would play for him right now. Like, just who cares how many ligaments I'd tear? I'd play for him right now.
Great pick.
And number 1 is a certain coach of a certain team in Chicago, Mike Ditka of
That's
the Bears. That's
going to do it for us, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
Sausage Ditka Bears. Mike Ditka.
In a fight between a hurricane.
Is that the guy from...
and a certain Coach Ditka. Hold on.
Hold on.
Hurricane is Ditka.
My prediction, Bears 148, Giants -12. How'd they get negative? Ditka will find a way.
Is that the guy from Kicking and Screaming?
Yes, it is.
You're the guy who gets me a juice box.
Yes. Mike Ditka.
Yeah, we have his autograph.
Love him. Yeah,
Solid.
on a map of Chicago.
As he lit up a massive stogie in his restaurant.
Yeah,
like that.
Biggest head I've ever seen. Holy crap.
So that's going to do it for us here at What Caught My Eye. Before we go, as always, don't forget to follow us on all of our socials on Facebook, X, and Instagram at WCME_sports. Our episodes drop every Wednesday at noon on Spotify and on YouTube. You can go ahead and visit us on our website at WCMEsports.com. For the boy Stephen Vesci and the man Stephen Comlow, I am the coach Nick Vesci. As always, be decent to each other. Have a good one. We will see you next time. Take care, Guatemala.